Environmentalists are intensifying pressure on the government to begin work on the Keta coastlines to prevent the city's total collapse. They warn that the government's continued delay in starting sea defense projects in the Keta municipality could result in the complete destruction of the area within a few years. In 2022, the government secured approximately $150 million to protect 3 coastal communities, including Keta. However, a year later, environmentalists lament no visible progress in sight. In the second part of today's climate series, Vanishing Shores of Keta, Carlos Caloni explores how rising sea levels are affecting tourism, revenue, and even the dead in the Keta municipality.
Apart from negative impact on housing and livelihood, the rising levels of the sea is negatively impacting on tourism here in Keta. The owner of this facility tells me how devastating the recent tidal waves have been on his facility.
The cost is very tremendous. First, we are losing clients, so no income is coming. It's a loss. We still have to protect or keep certain facilities running, like the fridges, security and all this thing. Electricity will be on, it's a cost. Now, in my case, in an attempt to protect the facility from being destroyed totally, I have to find a way of protecting my property. As I stand now, I spent close to 1 million cedis to get this facility standing here.
James Akoli is a former assemblyman and a tour guide of this fort.
The state of the fort now is due to the rising sea level at that time. In 1980, the sea came and destroyed part of the fort. 3/4 of the fort has been washed into the sea. So that what left now is 1/3 we are seeing today. You see, the state of it now is partially rain. So if properly done, I think it will attract a lot of visitors to the fort. So it have declined the number of visitors that come into the fort.
At the Keta Municipal Assembly, officials lament climate change's devastating impact on revenue generation. Ransford Owusu is the Assembly's finance officer.
Truly, this tidal wave things normally, when it do happen, affects the business premises of the various businesses along the coast, and it does affect our property rate collection and then the collection of business operating permits from the various businesses that are along the coast. Sometimes when they leave their canoes and nets at the shore, before they will come back the next day, it has been taken away by the tidal waves. And that also affects their livelihood. And then it also affects the local economy, because Keta is mainly a fishery community. When we go to the market for revenue mobilization, you see that a lot of the farmers which hitherto were coming to the market, they no more come again.
Despite these devastating challenges, many, including environmentalists, strongly believe practical steps can be taken to reverse the trend and protect lives, livelihoods, and property.
I believe that something can be done. With my own experience, by dumping these boulders, what I have seen, it can be done.
The rock sea defense protection, which we use here mostly when we get the challenge, is only a short-term measure or a temporary measure that is put in place to contain the situation, after which major solution is found and then the issue is resolved. And there are a lot of countries that we can cite. Unfortunately for us in Ghana and in Africa, I don't know if it's because of funding or because of lack of research. We have relied heavily on this rock-sea defense protection, and that has really destroyed the marine environment and coastal biodiversity, aside not being able to solve the problem that we seek to resolve.
The new trend is about the hybrid, where we can do a little of what the rock and the boulders, they should do it. But the people have lost enough land that need to be reclaimed. And the hybrid gives them the opportunity to still have access to the beach and go on with their daily activities like fishing and farming.
In 2022, the World Bank approved a $246 million project to strengthen coastal resilience in West African countries, including the Gambia, Ghana, and the Guinea-Bissau. However, Joel and Fatu believe the government's slow approach to the work shows it doesn't appreciate.
Government has secured about $150 million in order to do the protection works in 3 areas: Densu, Kole area, and the Keta area. So we are waiting for government to start doing the work along the Keta coast, because of late, the erosion has been very, very precarious.
Government is delaying. I don't know the reason why. I'm sure it's the usual bureaucracy, but I can use this medium to appeal to government that, there's no time to waste. If there's anything that can be done to help ameliorate the challenges that our people are facing along the coast, it is this one. We have not been able to access the funding for the previous one that was done in Benin and Abidjan because of some of these bureaucracies within our country. And so we have to really put our first foot forward and do what is necessary. In fact, Kita area is the only place that is experiencing 2.2 meters rate of recession annually per annum, compared to the 0.6 that is happening along the entire coast. Not only in Ghana, but in Africa. The Kita area experiences 2.2 meters recession per annum. And that can tell you that it's a great challenge. If we don't act fast, we are going to lose the whole place.
Livelihoods, housing, tourism, education, and government revenue are all under serious threat due to the vanishing shores caused by climate change. Keta and other coastal communities are indeed sitting on an environmental time bomb that demands urgent attention. Indeed, apart from the devastating impact of the rising levels of the sea on lives and property, the dead are equally paying a huge price. As you can see, Solomon Kwashi, who died somewhere in 2021, his tomb is sinking, and he's just one of the thousands of tombs that are sinking due to the rising levels of the water. So apart from the living, the dead are equally paying a high price of the climate change impact here in the Keta municipality of the Volta region. My name is Carlos Caloni for Joy News.
Carlos really paints the picture there accurately. Not only the living are feeling the impacts of climate change, but the dead are also feeling the impact. Let's expand this conversation a bit further. The Executive Director for Center for International Maritime Affairs for Ghana, Mr. Albert Fatu, joins us for a conversation. Albert, thank you for joining the conversation. And we now know that we also have Joel Degui from the Center for Natural Resources and Environmental Management also with us. Do I have Joel with me? Okay, gentlemen, you have to unmute though. Let me start with you, Albert. You said we now know that Keta's coast is witnessing a recession of 2.2 meters per annum. And it's the fastest place to be eroding on the entire continent of Africa. Help me paint the picture. If immediate steps are not taken, where will Keta be in the next 6 years, 5 to 6 years?
Thank you very much, and good morning to our listeners and viewers. I think that the picture is gloomy, and you mentioned 6 years, but I can tell you that in the next 3 years, if we are not able to take any concrete action to manage this situation, we are going to lose the whole of Keta Coast, where I call one of the greatest blessings that God has given to mankind, being located between the lagoon and the sea, which is a very beautiful sight to behold.
Right. Did I hear you say government has spent 150 million already? On what exactly?
No.
In the report, I heard 150 million has been spent so far. Where did that money go?
I think that money has been earmarked. It's an amount of money that the World Bank has given to the country, but it has not been implemented. The project has not been implemented yet, and that is what we call the Worker project. In fact, we lost out on that project 2 years ago due to our internal bureaucracies, and so we were jumped. So the program took place in Abidjan and Benin, and so when you go to those two countries now, I mean, you see a lot of development and protection of the coastal environment. Unfortunately, we could not have access to ours 2 years ago, but we are now being told that Ghana's own is in, about $1.5 million has come, and so we are waiting on the appropriate authorities to release the funding for the bodies that are supposed to take up the project, because there is really no time to waste.
Let me come to Joel. Joel is an environmentalist. Joel, how did we get here and where do we go from here? Joel, you have to unmute. Joel, if you can hear me, I was asking you, how did we get to this devastating situation and what's our way forward? And I think you should unmute. We can't hear you. Or kindly take out the earpiece and listen to me directly. We can't hear you.
Okay, that's
Good.
fine. Yes, I got you right. How did we reach here? Keta is a low-lying area. The coast east of the Volta estuary is a low-lying area in Ghana's geomorphology. So about 60 years ago, there has been this phenomenon that has been really, really acute. So the coast between the estuary and Aflau, that is communities like Kokobo, Uveme, Adakoji, Akrotoko, up to Keta, and moving even further east to Salakope, Azizan, Gaveji, and the others have all lost, wide portion of their original land. And this happened as a result of a multiplicity of factors, and one of them being the climate change issue, which has made the sea level to rise, and therefore the coastal erosion has become acute. You are talking about 2.5 meters. That is the average. It's not, that is, some areas are experiencing about 8 meters annually. And of late, wow, I can tell you authoritatively that I have seen areas that are beyond 30 meters worn away by the sea in the last 3 years. Yeah, so it has been both climate change and as well as the low-lying area of the area and the sandy nature of the coast between the Adan or the Volta estuary and the area with the border with Togo. Yeah, so if you ask how is the way forward, we have had the Keta Sea Defense Project earlier, right, here in Keta. It has saved a portion of the land between Hovi and a portion of Keta, roughly some 8 kilometers. But beyond that, the drift effect started happening around Hovi, Salakope, Amuchinu, Gaveji, down to Aplau Delu. Yeah, so there's the need to come in again and protect those areas, as mentioned already by Mr. Fiati. So central government must be proactive in securing the needed fund in order to go full strength into the protection of the land between the Volta estuary and the border between Togo. So, as we have seen in the last years, if nothing is done, as Mr. Fiati has said, I believe strongly that the next few years, I don't want to be specific on the duration, but in the next few years, because I've been in Keta for the past 30 years, and I have seen the portion of the land that is lost to the sea already. And if that trend continues, then we end up having the entire Keta gone into the sea, and what will be left is that the coast will be somewhere around Akachi or around Dabala, as the sea has taken over the entire coast between the Volta estuary and Aplau area.
Okay, please hold for me. We also have Seri Sji, and he is Deputy National Coordinator for NADMO. Mr. Seri, thanks for joining us as well. What early warning measure are you taking to ensure that lives and properties are not impacted or not destroyed? I mean, with the impact of this climate change that we are feeling?
Thank you, and good morning to your viewers and other panelists as well. I hope you can hear me. I'm being heard.
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
All right. Yes, the situation is quite a very serious one. And listening to your two co-panelists, what it places on us as NADMO is a very huge burden, because that is where our mandate lies, that when there are humanitarian crises, we come in to provide relief and try as much as possible to get involved in the recovery efforts. The challenge here is that this situation persists, and every time we have reports of displaced persons along these areas, especially the areas that was mentioned by the environmentalists, unfortunately, the sea defense will not cover the whole stretch. And the particular areas that the sea defense that is not stretched to or doesn't cover is receding very, very fast. And I'm sure that's where it mentioned somewhere about 8 meters. Our challenge as a humanitarian institution is to try as much as possible to have holding centers and to prepare that if there are displacements, we'll be able to be temporarily manage the situation. So what we have done is to also develop a contingency plan with the Keta municipality and the Anglo municipality. So as we speak, we have a contingency plan developed so that things that we will do, first of all, identifying the hazard, the climate change hazards. Some of them are tidal waves and the recession of the land. So we have a contingency plan now, which spells out clearly all the actors and the collaborators, what we will do when in 24 hours when the disaster happens, what we'll do in a week, what we'll do in 2 weeks, what we'll do in 1 month. But as has been said by my co-panelists, it's a situation where the state has to get involved to boldly deal with the situation once and for all. If not, we'll be losing the whole coast.
Okay. Please hold for me. Let me go back to Albert. Albert, we understand the West African Coastal Area Fund is ready. What is the fund supposed to do? And if it's for a project, why hasn't it commenced yet?
Thank you very much again. I think the fund is supposed to help us overcome this great challenge that we face, to build resilience and to protect the coast. I am not in the position to tell why it has delayed, because it's a great challenge for me as well. But I have also been part of the committee working on the Sustainable Ocean Plan for Ghana. And in our last meeting, it was announced that the fund is now ready for disbursement by the Ministry of Environment, Science and Technology. And so we are only looking forward to that. When that happens, what I spoke about earlier, about Abidjan and Benin, we'll be seeing, and then our coast can be protected, because we are going to see a lot of nature-based approaches, that is planting of mangroves, and also fitting in some modern technologies to be able to protect the coast rather than using the rock sea defense walls, which ends up destroying the biodiversity of the beautiful, sand. And the reason why we call it kita.
Right, Albert, right before I let you go, what recommendations or what form of coastal protection do you recommend, considering the fact that 2/3 of the main Keta municipality is already in the, vanishing?
The greatest is the nature-based approach. That is by engaging in the planting of mangroves and other plants that protect the environment, and also falling on the successful countries that have been able to manage this situation to adopt their technologies, one of which is the reshore technology, which is used to protect the coast and also generate energy, which is a challenge for us as a country.
Right.
So some of the recommendations I can cite, but there are many more that we are working on behind the scenes to put out so that government can take it up and help protect our people.
Thank you so much. And Joel, you live in this community. What would be your word to the governments regarding the vanishing shores as we speak?
Thank you very much. The Waka project that Ghana has embarked on is the second phase of the World Bank coastal protection or coastal areas protection program. So countries like Senegal, Cote d'Ivoire, Mauritania, Togo, Benin, and Sao Tome have already done it. So the best practice is there. I was in Benin Republic a number of times, and I have visited a project site along the coast between Ilakoji and Seme or Cotonou. I have seen the work done there.
Right.
They didn't just bring in rocks to, protect the remains or the small portion of the land left, but rather they did what is called land reclamation from the sea. They brought in a company from Netherlands called Boskalis, who brought in a dredger ship that was able to pump sand from about 4 or 5 kilometers into the sea and pour it on the land and created additional land like 300, 350 meters with a height of about 4.5 meters. So my advice to central government is that we have already lost enough land in Keta, and we don't have land again. So the Waka project should look at land reclamation, how to get land, additional land or lost land, like the Puveme, Kokogbo, Adakoji, Japlagbe, Atiteti, Aklotoko. The land is gone into the sea.
Joel.
Let's get the project done right by gaining back land and be able to get land for the local residents who have lost enough through these coastal erosional activities.
Thank you, Joel. That's all time will allow us. But let me give the last word to Seri Sji. Seri Sji, you have the final word.
Yeah, thank you very much. All this is pointing to a situation where we have to act fast as a country. If all the solutions that have been proposed by the two panelists and happens in the shortest possible time on the medium term, what it does to us as a disaster management organization is that it lessens our burden of preparing and responding to those situations. But I think that we need to act very fast so that the lives and properties in those areas will be saved at least, especially trying to reclaim part of the land, which was done in the first phase when they did the sea defense from Ovi to somewhere around Keta. Most of the land you see there were lands claimed from the sea. Actually, what happened was the sea and the lagoon merged.
Seri, unfortunately, that's all time will allow us for today. But we'll continue this conversation, and we do actually bring you this climate focus series every Wednesday. Gentlemen, thank you so much. I had Seri Sji, who's Deputy National Coordinator for NADMO. We also had Joel Dengui, who's Executive Director for the Center for International Maritime Affairs, as well as Albert Fatu, Executive Director for the Center for International Maritime Affairs, Ghana. Thank you so much. But right